There's something about giving a gift that changes you. I'm not talking about a gift card or something from someone's registry. Those are great, don't get me wrong. But a real gift that takes time, thought, and effort. A gift that you put yourself into, along with a deep hope that the person receiving it will be changed as well when they get it. I remember making such a gift for my father when I was a kid. It seems really silly now, but all it was an elaborate frame around a not so particularly flattering picture of my dad. I worked for hours on that frame, meticulously drawing every little detail. But what I remember far more than what the picture and the frame looked like when I was done with it was the intent with which I worked on the gift. The whole time making it, I so wanted my father to love the crude art I was creating. And when I finally gave it to him, I felt like I was giving a part of myself away as well. Whenever I read about the sacrifices and offerings that the priests brought to the temple for God, how precise every item had to be, and the detail with which the gift was to be given to God, I think about that frame that I made for my father. These offerings were the tangible thing that the people could give to God. A gift that not only was exactly what their sacred text prescribed, but one that changed them when it was given. Whether it was to atone for their sins, to express devotion or thanksgiving, or to pray for peace, all of these sacrifices aimed at changing the state of the person doing the offering. But you see, this change could only occur, and holiness could only be present if all of the steps toward the giving were faithfully followed, and if the one offering put their whole self and focus toward the giving. In our Torah portion this week, Parashat Pinhas, we just read these verses, and these verses detail how important these sacrifices were to God. In Numbers 28, 1 through 2, it says, Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the children of Israel and say to them, take great care to offer to me at its appointed time my offering, my food offering, my fire offerings, a spirit of satisfaction for me." It's clear that the people hoped with all of their hearts that these offerings would be received by God in the spirit with which they were given. And it shouldn't be surprising then to learn that nothing was as existentially shattering to Judaism as when the Second Temple was destroyed nearly 2,000 years ago. The people's only way of communicating with God and living a spiritual life vanished. And it's a miracle that our people didn't vanish along with it. We also know that prayer quickly replaced the sacrificial offerings of the temple as a way to keep our lines of communication open with God, but also as a way to continue to change ourselves. What is perhaps most fascinating is that the prayers that replaced the physical offerings were often composed of the very words describing the sacrifices themselves. Think about that. On Shabbat, for example, during temple times, our Torah instructs the people to offer 2 unblemished lambs in their first year and 2/10 of a bushel of fine flour mixed with oil. Sounds great, doesn't it? But after the destruction of the temple, these instructions were sung as the centerpiece prayer offering of the day, and they're still recited to this day in traditional synagogues. These sung offering instructions were often the most impassioned prayers sung by the cantors of old. And you know what I'm going to do. I can't help myself. So here's a little example of that very prayer from this week's Torah portion for the offering on Shabbat. Shabbos. Oy la Shabbos b'Shabbatoi, oy la Shabbos b'Shabbatoi, oy la Shabbos.
Oy la Shabbos, Shabbos, oy
la Shabbos b'Shabbatoi, Shabbos, Shabbos. Aloy la Satami benisko, benisko, aloy la Satami benisko, benisko. Shabbos, Shabbos.
Oy la Shabbos, Shabbos.
Shabbos b'Shabbatoi.
Shabbos b'Shabbatoi.
Oy la Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos b'Shabbatoi. Oy la Shabbos, Shabbos, Shabbos b'Shabbatoi. The Reform movement hastily removed all prayers with references to temple sacrifices because the founding rabbis didn't believe in the rebuilding of a central temple or a restoration of temple sacrifices or worship. I get it, but I would argue that they took things a little bit too far and a little bit too literally. Don't we lose something irreplaceable by throwing out these texts and refusing to connect with them in worship? We'd already lost our original form of gift giving to God. And these prayers now are the only way to reenact how devoted the people were in giving what they felt God really wanted. Sure, you can argue that God never really needed these sacrifices, and so it was maybe meant to be that there's no longer a physical temple anymore to bring them to. But that's missing the point. It's all about the power of the gift. It wasn't until I had kids of my own that I got to see a reflection of what I tried to do for my parents when making them gifts. When my kids come to me with an offering of love, whether it's a picture of cats working out or a silly maze that I have to complete myself, what is most apparent and powerful is the intent and devotion behind the preparation of the gift. It's an intent that has a power that certainly changes me, and I know now changes them too. May we continue to be generous in our gifts to each other and to God, so that all of us can be transformed by the spirit of genuine devotion and care.